talking about filing a complaint or a plaint or how to commence civil proceedings, I show them different examples. And what I realized is that students get more interested when they know that we are actually going to look at real life examples. We are talking about a decree. We are going to see how a decree looks like. And when we are now having review sessions, asking the students who remembers what we learned yesterday or last week, I discovered that when you've used this method, most students actually recall and remember and master the topic which you taught a few days earlier. The other thing which I have done to motivate the students is to show them the relationship between civil procedure and other subjects, because this is knowledge they are gaining, which they will use in whichever field they go to, whether they want to become judges, whether they want to become advocates, whether they want to become in-house lawyers for companies. They will need to advise clients or give advice to their CEOs. So I motivated them by encouraging them to change their attitude towards civil procedure. And I tell them, look, you are not learning civil procedure to just pass your examinations. You are learning lifelong skills which will assist you in your profession. What are some of the benefits of using this method? One, I realized that when I've indicated that we are going to use real life examples, my classes were full, as opposed when I'm teaching theory. So improved class attendance is one of the benefits. The other benefit is, of course, the recall levels improved. Students would easily remember what we learned when I have used these study guides of pleadings, as opposed when I was using the usual lecture method. Some of the challenges that are faced, of course, is getting appropriate study guides. If you get a pleading which is drafted wrongly, the student may use it and think that is the correct thing. So you need to be very careful when you are choosing your study guides. The other disadvantage, of course, is that those students who don't intend to go and practice are not interested in these study guides. All they are interested in is passing the examination, even if it's with a D grade, so that they can get a low degree. But finally, I think it is important for us to realize that the lecture method is not working at all, and whichever doctrinal area we are teaching, we need to come up with innovative ways of teaching our students. Thank you very much.
I think you're seeing a theme in these comments relating to both activity, motivation, a lot of the key points for effective pedagogy. Our next presenter is Sebo Mangalo, professor, and he chairs the legal entities study group. Not knowing much about law, I had to learn what legal entities are. I now know a lot more. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this opportunity to come and present at this prestigious law school to such a group of distinguished people. I would like to just start by saying that my presentation has a few slides, but I'm going to be concentrating only on those that I think are reflecting the message that I would like to present today. Firstly, let me just say I'm going to be going very quickly through the materials, mainly because, as we all are aware, when you are here and you are actually timed on your presentation, there's something that really can frustrate you when you look at the chairperson and they've got a 2-minute no sign. All of a sudden you say yes, and you are telling everybody yes, and the people are surprised as to what you're talking about, whereas you want to respond to her that, I'm going to be finishing in 2 minutes. But be that as it may, I don't want to waste too much time. Let me just go through my presentation quickly. By the way, I was introduced as hailing from the University of the Witwatersrand. I must just say that I left the Witwatersrand University last year, and this year I began my career as the head of the law department at Monash, South Africa, which is situated in Johannesburg, and it is part of the Laureate International Universities and Monash University, Australia. I would like to start first by explaining what the objectives of this presentation are. Firstly, I would like to reveal the finding that most students, particularly in South Africa, and I think it is true for most students in other parts of the world too, they prefer corporate law as a field of their career to any other module at law school. And in light of this objective, I would like to present that the educators of corporate law are in fact leaders who are actually presenting the materials to these students as lifelong learners, because they are going to be doing this for the rest of their lives. And then and also to demonstrate the relevance of leadership as the ability to influence others through inspiration and not manipulation, and how that is relevant to actually the way in which we present corporate law and how we inculcate the skills that they will use for life. And finally, I would like to signify the relevance of the 3 social motives in inspiring students to excel in corporation law and in using these 3 social motives in the way in which we teach and the way in which we assess. Now, this is the outline of the presentation. Firstly, what I would like to do is to set out the factors that are relevant to the significance of corporation law as a module, and to survey the results of the preference of corporate law as a primary career for students, and to signify the relevance of leadership studies and corporate law in respect of educators as leaders, and motivation as a source of inspiration. And I will then dwell on the 3 social motives and their impact influencing everything that a person does, and therefore inculcating these 3 motives in pedagogy, and also concluding. Now, the reality is that the factors that are relevant to the significance of corporation law is that Jonathan Claren, one of the leaders of the law schools in South Africa, who has done a lot of research not only in South Africa but in the United States, has discovered in his research, which was presented at the latest South African Law Deans Association conference on the 30th and the 31st of August, that in fact over 60% of the students surveyed in his survey found out that students in law schools prefer to take a career in corporate law, either as in-house lawyers, as litigants, and also as advisors. And therefore, while this is actually the true, we have to accept that if this is the case, then we have to empower the students to basically master corporate law for the rest of their lives. And how do we do so? We do so by acknowledging that educators in corporate law in particular are not only educators, but they are only leaders that will lead by example to these particular students who want to use corporate law as their career. And therefore, what that means is that we have to go back to leadership studies and say, what is leadership understood as? And we find that leadership is actually understood as the ability to influence others through inspiration, not manipulation. Then the question that many leaders or leadership studies scholars have struggled with is whose whose inspiration it is. Is it the inspiration of the person who is leading, or is it the inspiration of the people who are following? In other words, is it the inspiration of the educator, or is it the inspiration of the learners? Now, over many years, the leadership studies scholars have thought that inspiration is actually that of the leader or the educator. In fact, we have discovered at my university that, in fact, the leadership of the leader is not as much important as more important as the inspiration of those who have been taught. And as a result, inspiration is that of the followers more than just of the leader. Now, I'm going to go through quickly this slide because I think it will actually take me too long. Maybe just to introduce what is motivation. Motivation as a source of inspiration basically refers to the characteristics or the inner seated characteristics of every person that influences everything that they do. And those characteristics are referred to as social motives or motivation. And they help us in actually understanding and the way in which we interact with the materials that have been brought before us. And that is the basis for the three social motives that have been discovered by leadership gurus, having started in the 1940s with the groundbreaking research of David McClelland, who found out that every person operates under one or more of the following three social motives, which is achievement, which has the primary motive of excelling or exceeding a particular standard, and secondly, affiliation, which basically talks about the primary motive as being, been working as part of a group, and also the power motive, which has got the continuum of 4 stages. Firstly, dependent power, secondly, independent power, thirdly, aspirant power, and finally, interdependent power. And those are some are the three social motives that influence everything that a person does. Now, to what extent do this? Now, to what extent do these motives actually work in education and in enhancing pedagogy? This is the thing that I would like to actually bring in my presentation. Now, what really happens is every pedagogical approach, either in the form of teaching or in the form of assessment, has to have at its central objective the objective of facilitating a method that is going to acknowledge the centrality, for example, of achievement as a primary motive in some students. And in this regard, as we have heard from Patricia at the beginning, that mastery is one of the ways in which we should consider in pedagogy. And I find that many of the students who are basically operating from the social motive of achievement actually enjoy mastery, and that has to be indicated or it has to be inculcated even at the beginning of the lecture, at the end of the lecture, and actually throughout the semester. And one of the ways in which we do this at my university is, in corporate law in particular, we offer them what we call pre-learning surveys or questions that we inculcate in our teaching. And we find that those who are actually excelling or are operating under the social motive find this to be quite exciting and inspirational to them. And in addition to that, because of the integrated approach to learning, we also consider the interactive method of learning and assessment, which is important to those who are operating under the social motive of affiliation. And finally, we find that those who are operating under the motive of power, or the primary social motive of power, basically find that they would actually like to regard the issue of autonomy as the primary basis upon which a person conducts their teaching. And therefore, in this regard, you can see that all the three aspects of pedagogy, as explained by Patricia, are actually covered in this regard. And the way in which you are able to determine what the social motive of students are is very easy, because you can do picture story exercises. And there have been leadership studies that shows actually how you measure the social motive through the picture story exercises. When you assess the students' response to a picture that you have given them, if you find that one of the characters in the story actually is only concentrating on achievement, usually you'll find that that will be a dominant social motive, and you can do so and find one of the characters is concerned about affiliation, and that is actually the basis of their answer. That basically determines that they are actually operating under affiliation motive. And if one of the characters, or almost all the characters in the picture that you've been asked to describe, actually describe or demonstrates the characters of power, you find that the student basically operates under that particular motive. And therefore, picture story exercise, which is very easy to actually undertake, it can show you actually which social motive students are operating under, and basically applies even across, beyond just the classroom and even to leadership studies generally. And therefore, in conclusion, I would like to say that pedagogical approach in corporation law invariably requires linking social motives together with the approach that is taken in teaching and also in assessment. And also that this link can be drawn in the assessment approach, for an example, by grading individual activities, which basically talks to the issue of mastery, group exercises, which talks to the issue of relationship, and finally also integrating other methods that will show that the social motive of power can be enhanced in students. With those few words, I would like to say thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next presenter is Taslima Mansour, Dean at the Dhaka University, Faculty of Law, Bangladesh, and she is the chair of the Family Law Study Group.
It is my proud privilege to be here, and my heartfelt thanks to Symbiosis Law School and International Association of Law Schools to invite me here and present what I think is very relevant for the students of Bangladesh, especially in South Asia. I must say the Global Law Deans Forum was really helpful. It has an impact on me still. You know, we are still engrossed in that Law Deans Forum, and so it will also have effect on my presentation today. I am taking you to doctrinal and procedural together, you know, integrating a subject which is very recent in our regions. It is international humanitarian law. I will bog you down with some of the things which I said in first few pages. Please don't be, sleeping. So I hope I can, really take your attention on that. And so I start with my presentation, integrating international humanitarian law and mooting in legal curricula. I don't know whether you can see me. I wore big heels so that I can show you my face, but it's very hard with this laptop. The new world human order is as yet nascent system grappling with war and violence, proliferating terrorism and traumatic inflictions on innocent civilians. History bears witness to massacres without mercy and mass suffering, consequent of lawless attacks on the wounded and dying soldiers, and victimization of women and children during armed conflicts, where nations attacks nation or ethnic tribal or religious groups indulge in cleansing operations on an internecine scale. While the voices of the clash of civilizations are echoing loud, and the so-called war on terror is influencing the fate of some communities and many groups of individuals in various countries of the world, it is appropriate to recall the humanitarian values that rally nations and people around them. Indeed, peace and security and faith in fundamental human rights have been the growing hunger of the human species from the dawn of history. International humanitarian law, as all of us know, is that branch of public international